If I listened to that 2 a.m. voicemail, if that was like my girl, and I listened to like this dude go, "Hey Blake, we're gonna kill it on set," like, oh my god, like he's using sexy voice and stuff, I might be like, this is getting weird.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Bravo, We're Black. I am Kaya, and I am here with your fifth favorite / fourth favorite guest today. And that is a huge compliment because we've had a bunch of guests. I'm here with Mr. Ryan Bailey. You requested him. I got him.
Wow, fourth favorite. Wow, can I crack the top
fifth.
3 this year? Gee, like what a way to set me up. I didn't realize we were like, this was like a fourth, fifth, third. I didn't realize we were in competition with each other. Wow.
It's not a competition. It's more like MySpace, since everyone has a new social media website.
I like that you said fourth and then you were like fourth, fifth. I was like,
because, okay, listen. Number 1 is going to be Kendrick. Number 2
Love.
is going to be Raven.
Love.
Number 3 is going to be me, Kendrick, and Raven and Aaron.
Okay, that's where I have a bone to pick. I feel like that should be 4. If you're already giving the top 2 to Raven and Kendrick, I feel like you can't like yourself
as a quad.
I feel like that's a separate category. I feel like that's a group setting and shouldn't be included in the single guest. So then I feel like that should move me up to third. And the groups thing should be a whole different category.
Okay, we can do it however you want. Because I got you in front of me, so I'm going to say anything. I'm the kind of person, I'm going to say anything you want to keep you on here.
What if I stormed off right now? This is bullshit.
Let me tell you about this diva. I come up in literally right now. I just have on lip gloss and lip liner. Ryan comes on, looks at the camera, and is like, "Is my nose too red?"
Whoa, wait. In defense, there is
finish my story. Goes off, changes wardrobe, and puts on a little. I put
a hat. Wait. Changed wardrobe. I put a hat on. A hat on, and there was a giant red spot on my nose, and it was so glaring that I thought it would distract anybody that, like, if you make a clip out of this. So I thought that's going to scare people, especially younger viewers or listeners. So I went and put something on. I think that's fine.
And I said, this diva down. Like, I rethought everything. I'm like, well, damn, maybe I should have got like hair and makeup for this, but this
is like Dr. Wendy going to the White House next week.
Exactly.
I was like, what wig am I going to wear on Bravo We're Black?
Important things to think about, like, don't you think? I'm so happy to be with you today because I had to especially get you on this week. I told you you're either going to be on Wednesday or you're going to be on Saturday.
Yeah, by the way, the text really was, hey, I need you. This is what you're going to do. You can pick Tuesday or Thursday. It was literally, You could pick Tuesday or Thursday. There was no can you. It was like, you're going to do this Tuesday or Thursday. And I was like, oh, okay.
If you want to stay in the top 5, you can't get asked. You have to.
Oh my God. Wow.
Do you understand? Okay, so do you understand that Kendrick, I announced when he's going to be on before he agrees? You can ask Kendrick this. So if you want to get into, top 3, you have to be able to be like, yeah, well, when do you need me? Yeah, whenever.
I have a feeling your audience is never going to want to hear from me again after this. So that I feel this is going to be I'm in a blaze of glory right now.
They want Kendrick, they want Raven, they want all of us together, and they want you. And then sometimes they like Noor a lot. Hers did numbers. I also had Tom on.
Sandoval?
Tom? No.
Hamlet. I love Tom Hamlet. Yeah.
You just got a new nose. I will punch you right in it. But yes, like, they did great numbers, and I've never had Tom or Noor on before, so they're both pretty great. Cool. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, do you actually work with? Do you work with a lot of people or like podcasts with a lot of people that you don't like?
Can
you say that? I mean,
I can't say that I've ever like podcasted purposely with people that I don't like, but I have had some interviews that were just more,
Yeah.
I'm doing this because, either someone requested them to come on or PR requested them to come on, or we wanted them on and they kind of weren't how we expected them to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah. How do you handle that? Like, are you like in that moment, are you already bummed, or do you think about it later and then get bummed?
I feel their energy, but the thing is, I'm a yapper, so I can talk to anyone, and I'm just like, okay, you only have 20 minutes anyway, so I can figure out, what you want, like what you can talk about. We can talk about anything, and then later on, me and Aaron will have like a debrief, and like, well, they fucking hated us, like.
By the way, I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, "I'm in this chair right now with this mic all the time, and I'll finish an interview or whatever, and then I'll just sit here without anything going, and I'll just like stare at the ground, and I like because you're like so in it, and then you'll just sit there and you'll just like decompress." And think about like all the bad things. Like I'll think about all the bad things, and people will be like, "Hey, you should make a clip out of this." I'm like, I don't even know what I just did. Like I don't even like. There's just these feelings. You're like, oh, I guess like it's so hard to remember like moments.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like a super intense interview, which I haven't really had many of those. I just know that I've had one or two where the person really wasn't responding like that. You can tell that they didn't really want to be on there. Or it could be they were just having a bad day. Maybe it was like a press day, or maybe they were like tired or something. So that's just that. But what I was trying to say is that I demanded Ryan be on this pod, not only because he's 4/5 on you guys' list, but also because he's going to be the last white person to be on this pod because February is coming up. And I know that
no whites from here on out.
Yeah, no whites. The DEI is over, at least until March.
Finally. Okay. By the way, I respect that. The way things are going, you need to do. By the way, I respect the business acumen. You've got to make the tough decisions, and that I listen. It goes both ways. You got to do the pendulum swings.
Oh, okay. So as you just heard, Ryan, we're not going to be on Ryan's podcast anymore. He's not doing DEI anymore.
Wait, whoa. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
No,
I did not. You said that. No, because I said the government is swinging this way. You guys are swinging back the other way. My podcast will remain always with everybody. So.
A very political answer.
How is that political? I genuinely, literally. Oh my God! Wait, should I be taking a stand? Should I just be saying, like, could you imagine?
I'm just kind of slithering my way back onto your podcast, Ryan. That's the only thing that I'm doing.
I told you through text messages. Anytime, just tell me. People act like I'm some. I feel like it's so funny. 5 years into this, people think I'm still organized. I don't know how to get it through people's heads that I'm not. I don't know how. I don't know what I have to do because I think maybe I speak clearly. I just don't get how people don't get it by now. I told you, just let me know when you want to come on.
This is the thing. Okay. What I was trying to say was in February, we're going to have all black guests. And then back in March, we'll resume business as normal. But we usually always do that. We try to make February just a black ass month. But especially this year, since they're taking everything away from us, it's going to be an extra black ass month. So I had to get you in. We are in the last week
of January. Will you have Kelly Dodd on in February?
Oh, absolutely. She's number one. Her and
because she did say she's half, she's part black. Remember that?
She's like that. What was it? Was it like 10% Nigerian or some shit like that? I don't know. Fuck Kelly Dodd. But okay, this is what happens with you, Ryan. This is why people don't like DM you and be like, "Hey, I want to be on the pod."
Because I don't answer the DM. I don't look at half of my DMs.
Message you. Okay, you text back very fast. I don't know if it's because I always put notify anyway, but that's the kind of person I am. I don't care whose phone is on silence. I'm going to put notify anyway. But the reason that people don't necessarily feel I'm not going to say feel welcome because you make everyone feel welcome. When you say you can come on whenever you like, that's like when someone is like, oh, we're going to hang out. We're all going to hang out. You can come if you want.
Wait, no. Because
That's how it
when I
feels.
tell people that, I'm not in a group of people. I'm telling you specifically. Like, here's the deal. I love this job so much that I'm like, there are people that I'm like, oh God, I hope I talk to them a billion more times in my lifetime, and that's a genuine thing. But I am not, or like, I am not one of those people of like, okay, I've got to write this in my calendar. So it usually is
And you
somebody will
have
reach out.
Sandra who helps
And
you.
by the way, wait, talk to Sandra. She will
Yeah.
tell you how infuriating I am with this because I will just like kind of, she'll say something. I'll be like, yeah, that sounds great. And then I will just completely forget about it. I finding out I have ADHD like in adulthood is wild. Like it truly is because my mind will be on this and then it'll immediately, I'll just switch to a different thing and I will forget about that other thing entirely.
That's what I try to tell people when they're like, "Oh, I want to be on Ryan's podcast." I'm like, "You got to run Ryan down." I
Yeah.
don't know.
But by the way, you do. I mean that, and the people that just know anybody you hear
But
on
do
my
you
podcast
know how
has
that
run me down.
do you know how that like do you understand where I'm coming from when it's like, "Oh, you can come on anytime you want." It's like,
I
"Oh, he's
yeah.
just saying that."
No.
That's
Wait, no.
why.
I don't think I just say that. I mean it. But I do understand that. I do understand. Yes.
Okay.
Well, this has been great so far. Fourth or fifth. People have to run you down. Can't be on because of a DEI initiative in February.
You're also a diva.
Yeah. By the way,
You changed
you said I had a
wardrobe.
wardrobe change when it
You
was just
did.
a
You
base.
put on
It
a
was a.
hat.
It
You
was
guys,
a.
he did not have this hat on. A Stanley Kubrick hat, by the way, which it just feels like a sub to like it feels like you're beefing with David
Stanley
Lynch.
Kubrick.
Like it, like
Oh,
I don't
by the
know,
way,
like
if I had a David Lynch hat, I would wear it, but I just have the Stanley Kubrick hat. Listen, at this point, I'm going to get a Justin Baldoni hat. I'm going to get a Blake Lively hat. All of my favorite directors, I will have their hats one day as well.
a Ryan Reynolds one for sure.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah, written by Ryan Reynolds. That's the hat I want.
Oh my god. Okay, so the people want to know, like, you are in. Oh well, wait. This is one other thing. So when you also say come on anytime, when we see you on like doing your thing, because you have like you've catapulted, and this is a great thing, like you've catapulted towards being like one of those names that when I go on Apple Podcasts, you're up there with Danny Pellegrino, you're up there with like people who are superstars in the game. So when we see you on Jeff Lewis Live, when we see you on Sheena's podcast, shout out to Kiki's also,
Yeah.
we're like, oh, this guy is like really actually busy. And he has all these like you recently had Phaedra Parks on. You have all these like stars and producers and people behind the scenes on your podcast that it could make someone who's still like a regular podcaster feel like, I don't know if he necessarily would want to be bothered.
That could be a perception, but that's not reality. Like the reality is, these opportunities come up. You want to jump on anything. I've been like saying, like I love saying yes to like everything in this capacity is so exciting. But I just want to like have fun. I want to just laugh. I want to be stupid. I want to be like that's, but also you just mentioned Phaedra Parks. Phaedra Parks was on the show, but she was on the show to talk about silk almond milk. Like it was literally like, hey, Phaedra, you're drinking silk almond milk. And then I could get like one question in about like the Traitors, but it was all based around that. And I got shit for it because they were like, this is a big commercial. I'm like, you're damn right it is. You think like if you get an opportunity to talk to Phaedra Parks, you're going to take it. And did I get paid for it? No, I didn't get paid for it, but I wanted, like, if I get the opportunity to talk to Phaedra about like what fucking toilet paper she uses, I'm going to talk to Phaedra Parks about what toilet paper she uses. Yes.
I watched the whole thing on the big TV because I was like, I can't watch this on my tablet. Like it's Ryan and it's Phaedra. So
yeah, I mean, it like, I don't know, those things, it's just like, I still have this childlike wonder about it. Like if you, like Phaedra came on and she was like dressed to the nines and like her background, I thought it was like a fake background because it looked so beautiful, and it was her actual house because like a maid walked through there, and I was like, whoa, you live in a palace. I was so excited about that, and that it just, I don't know. And also like with that, like when you get more like visibility or whatever this is, it's like it's not mo money, more problems because there's not mo money, but there's like you just get a lot more people talking shit at you. You get a lot more people
What
that like
do
or
you mean?
get
How can
upset at
people
you. Like,
hate
oh,
on
dude,
that? Like, this
I
is
just
what
had a
you
D.
work towards
I just had a
your
D. This is
whole
why I don't answer most of my or even open most of my DMs. I opened one. Somebody called me a sellout, and I was like, "What?
How?
This is podcast, guys. This is podcasting. Like, I know we are in probably a really bad spot right now, like in the world. But man, I feel like sometimes then the anger, you'll get shrapnel from somebody else's anger because you're talking about somebody that they love in pop culture and you dislike, or
Yeah.
they hate and I love.
Yeah.
And there's like this weird, you deal with it, like that parasocial relationship is
Yeah.
so intense sometimes. I think I'm just way too sensitive. So like, I'll think even like a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna quit. Like, I just
What?
don't.
You could not do that. Like, do you know how
Also,
many people
also
would be
at
heartbroken if you
least,
quit?
yeah, 40 or 50 at least. But like, there is no. But
Add a
don't you
couple
sometimes you're like
zeros.
we talk about or we've texted about this. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes you're like you work so hard at something and you just sometimes feel like, God, it's never going to be enough. It is never going to be enough because you love all of it, but there's so much that goes into this. Like, even like today, we're on this app, you have to figure out how the app works. And then for me, I edit the show together, I put in ad break. Like, there's all this stuff that nobody ever realizes you do, and it's still not enough. And you
Yeah.
get older and you're like, and then like January, this has been the thing is like, how do you give a shit still? Like
Right.
I want to find these things that I love, like but the state of the world, it's hard to manage like what you can disassociate with and laugh at, and what because then you'll turn the other channel and you'll be like, oh God, that's going on in the world. Like, how do you keep a blind eye and then still enjoy? And I by the way, I like Salt Lake City. I'm like that I can kind of really get into, and the
Hmm.
Traitors I can really get into. But sometimes with Beverly Hills or even Potomac this week, I'll be like, what am I doing? Like, what am I do? What am I doing? Like, wait, what? Like, like I don't know. It's been a hard January
It
for
makes
all.
sense. Yeah, for everyone, but especially for people in California, which you are in. You're specifically in LA. You actually had to evacuate your house. Can you please let the people know what is it like there right now? Like, has everything kind of like finally calmed to a way that like the fires are contained? Are
Yeah,
you
like we
back at
were.
your house? Yeah,
Yes,
obviously it is, but tell the
we
people what happened.
we were really lucky because it rained this weekend. And so that really helped like the containment. So we're at like a 98, 99% containment. So there were like the two big fires were the Palisades fires and the Eaton fires. I live in Laurel Canyon, and the bad thing about that was like it was already horrible, but then a couple weeks ago it was like a Wednesday night. I sat down to watch the finale or like this, like it was an episode of Salt Lake. And I was kind of like, already the fire, you see all this tragedy going on. It was just horrible already. But like, we're in the middle of those two. So we're like 8 miles on either side of those fires. But then I think somebody started a fire right in Laurel Canyon. And so all of a sudden we're getting like, there's this app called the Watch Duty app that like, you just were on all the time
Yeah.
checking out fires. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's telling us we got to go, we got to go. And it was wild, like deciding what to pack up in the span of 30 minutes and then driving. And it was like apocalypse where people are like cutting people off. And then you get to the thing and like, I'm seeing the flames. Like we're seeing the
Like, it's
flames.
real.
Oh, it was so real that my mind couldn't comprehend what I was seeing because I watched so much TV that I was like, well, this seems like high def. Like this is pretty. And then you see people like trying to live stream it that you're like trying to like, I got to get
We
out of
live in a
here.
simulation, dude.
It
Like,
was it
this
was
is
crazy.
real.
Um,
Have you ever been like that close to a fire? Like, have you ever had to evacuate because of a fire?
well, I lived through Sandoval, and that was like a pretty big. No, never, 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 no, never, 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 never. So that was really.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, if the winds had been what they were the day before that happened, this whole area that I live in would have been gone. Like it was that we were so lucky that the winds had died down enough where helicopters could come in and put that out. But when I saw those flames when I was turning on to La Brea, I was like, oh, it's gone. It's done. Like it's done. Like I was already accepting that I had lost, like everything was gone.
Yeah.
And I just took like my computer, my microphone, a book my mom gave me, and a couple like I'm not a fashion maven, so I just threw in some Old Navy like sweat. Like I had,
You don't
I
even
don't
know
know.
what to pack at that
No,
point. It's just like, I guess I'll bring obviously what I need for work, and then, something meaningful, and then something to change into. But that's
yeah.
insane.
And by the way, like, and I mean, you kind of go through it. And I would have been okay. Like, I feel like also, like, as you get older, like, I've lost things through my life. I've lost my mom. I've lost a marriage. I've lost, like, things where you're like, not to say it desensitizes you to, like, the tragedy or, like, but I also realize, like, well, I'm alive and
Yeah.
but on top of it, you're seeing everybody's who already lost their houses and Eaton and the Palisades. And you're like, this is already just, I don't know. Like it's been a really weird month. It has been one of the weirder
Yeah.
months that I've lived through in my life.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that so much chaos like started. You started the year with that, which we were like, oh, what can be worse than 2024? And it was like, you had to go through that. And then Donald Trump, he started more fires on the
Oh, it's
opposite
like
coast.
we're still
So
in
it's
it.
like,
Like it's like a full inferno, and it,
and you
the
still
couch.
have to work, and you still have to somehow try to take care of your health, and you still have to, like, for us, it's not even more of work. Like we enjoy these shows, and we enjoy content creating, but you want to, not come off like as an asshole, but you want to also kind of distract people from things, and you want to distract yourself from things. But you're like, how do I continue to even just live somewhat of a normal life while all these things are going on?
And then you realize, well, maybe you just can't live a normal life. Like maybe it's going to be a while before you can live a normal life. And there's this sadness, and in recognizing that. And like I had just gotten sinus surgery on December 30th because I was like, well, the
The
first couple
worst
weeks of
time.
January will be pretty chill. Like it'll be
Right.
pretty chill. I'll be like, they told me it's going to
Like
be some
I
intense
at least got
recovery.
until the 20th before I started the
Yes, yeah,
panicking.
exactly. Like I had like two large stents in my nose. I was all of this stuff. So I was like, that's the time to do it. And it was potentially the worst time to do it because I was so out of it, and all of this stuff. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, like I was just talking to you, like going on Instagram now. It used to be such a great joy of mine, and and by the way, I said the good old days, and Kaya pointed out, you mean the pandemic? And I was like, yeah, the
Pandemic.
pandemic when I used to
It
shit
was
post all the
more
time.
fun now when we were in a pandemic. I don't know why. It
Well,
just,
there was this. It was like a saving grace in the sense of like there was such tragedy that you're like, well, at least we're all like like we were all meeting each other for the first time. A lot of the
right.
creators, and we were being
Hmm.
super silly, super biting, super cutting. Really like pushing some really dark jokes out there, and you get out of that. And I think there's such a difference now because I don't know this. I was just telling, I've lost a lot of my sense of humor this month. And so when I go on Instagram, even if I can't, my mind doesn't work in memes this month. And even when I've tried, it's like tepid at best. I'm just like, oh, that's a shit meme that I just made. Or you realize people are so angry online that if you post something innocuous like, Taylor looking at Travis lovingly, people are upset. People are like, how dare you?
She's a billionaire. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck does
There's
that have to do?
there's there's crazier things going on in the world right now. It's like, no shit. This is a pop culture page. Like I don't and trying to find that balance. I think that's it is, 5 years into this, still trying to figure out your voice
Yeah.
of what you can say, what you can do, and what you're comfortable with. I don't know. It's something I question all the time.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't even talk about how, like, I mean, even though I wasn't necessarily affected by it, I just didn't want so many people who were affected by it to lose their source of income or source of happiness or source of information. We didn't even talk about the TikTok ban. Like, in all of that chaos that we talked about, TikTok got banned and came back, and it was just like, okay, this was clearly something that's was done on purpose. And it's
Oh,
so
it's like
much at
all
one time.
it's all the theatrics. And like I will say, I love like I'm on TikTok. I don't make TikToks, but I love scrolling on the I mean it's really highly addictive where I was kind of like, you know what, I could use a break. Like I could use a break from TikTok. Now I know so many people make their livings as creators on there, so this hasn't anything to do with them. But I was just like, it is a really bad habit that I formed with TikTok over the last year, and
Yeah.
I was like, I could, there's so many books I want to read, and there's so many. But the way we freaked out over TikTok, and it's like
Yeah.
I wish that we would freak out as much about what's happening in the world right now as we did for
Thank
those
you.
12 hours. Like I mean, just it was so sad, myself included, to see ourselves lose our collective shit like that. I'm like, where are we as a collective on all this other shit? The app goes down and that's when you act? Like
That's
that's our January
crazy.
6th TikTok, like we're
It
going to China.
was.
We're storming China. Like that.
People were learning Chinese
No,
on
I was like,
Red
right.
Note.
People are like, take all of my information, please. And I will willingly give Chinese the access to my secrets.
And I'm just like, I understood the people who like made a living from it. I understood the people who were like, I learned so much from it. I personally, like, I go on TikTok, I enjoy it, but like you, I'm not really like a creator on there. Like, I'll post some clips sometimes, I'll do something sometimes, but I was gonna be okay without it. But I just wanted it back for the people who make a living on there. But like you said, like it shouldn't be they're deleting a social media app and we really like stood together like, oh no, we're gonna figure this one the fuck out. And then boom, something worse happens. A lot of worse things have happened in the past week or so, and I don't really see as much action. So it just really goes to show like where our heads are at. And I can't really blame us because it's just like it's something that we're like programmed to do. We're desensitized and it's weird to see. But
Well,
yeah,
it makes you docile. It makes you like we're under this collective spell, and you forget, you forget that all these billionaires, like it's like, oh, am I going to go complain about Elon, and I'll do it on the app he owns? Like, guys, that doesn't mean. And I fall into that trap all the time, where I'm like, this Zuckerberg, he's going to get a piece of my mind. He does not give the fallacy in
fuck.
thinking that any of these people care about any of us, and they care about us in the terms of like shareholders and stock prices, and they would tell you they care to you directly to your face, but overall we're just gigantic game pieces, I mean tiny game pieces for their overall plan in just collective wealth. I mean, there's never been a time in US history where there's been such wealth disparity between billionaires and working class. I mean, working class doesn't really exist anymore, so that's like this kind of, there's not a lot of, it'll be very interesting because when you have all of these billionaires that are also in control of social media apps, you have to remember that news is going to be skewed so many different ways. So you really have to search out the truth. And that's very hard to do. Cause who can you trust? Even in terms of Bravo content creators, like you'll have those people that are like, they'll
Oh my
tease
god, my
you.
mom told me yesterday. She was like, Karen quit wearing, and I'm like, no, she
Yeah.
did not.
Oh, I'll get the fakest. I'm like, guys, come on, man. Like, just check.
Like, this was literally not even made in Canva. Someone put this shit in the notes app, posted it to an account, someone screenshotted it, and it has gotten back. Like, to the way that it gets back to my mom doesn't even go on Instagram like that. She doesn't know how to post an Instagram. So for you guys to spread it so far and so wide in such a short amount of time, like, let's kind of use our common senses here. Because even when I saw it first, I'm like, where did she post this? And no one could say. And it's just like, okay, the age of information, the age of AI, like, it's just so crazy to see.
And
But I don't want to
it's going to get
seem,
worse. It's going to get worse because the
yeah.
way this AI, and there was like a big AI thing yesterday where China released this new what is it called? Deep Search or Deep Seek, where, it's a direct competitor to Chat GPT.
Oh,
And the
God.
Chinese made it, and they made it for we were putting like what is it like $500 billion into like OpenAI and ChatGPT, and the Chinese just released this update on theirs yesterday, and they did it for 5.5 million, not billion, million. So they're like they did something that their chart like took 500 billion, they did it for 5.5 million, and I checked out the AI app. It's pretty insane how good it is, but it's insane in a scary way where I'm like, guys, if we keep going down this road, like we always like keep going like, hey guys, over here, raise the red flag. If we keep going down this road, it's potentially bad. I would rather like humans figure out how to do shit ourselves, because they always say AI is going to help us in all these amazing ways. And I'm sure people have used it in business in so many great ways. But overall, it just seems like another way that people are going to just monopolize to make money, like for themselves.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's not just like they're taking our jobs. It's more like they're taking my identity. Like,
Yeah, but
it's
did you read
crazy.
that? I was just talked about this week. The Brad Pitt AI,
Oh
the Brad Pitt
yes, yes,
scam.
yes. I actually heard about that on, I think it was your show. It was like someone literally like used that Brad Pitt's picture and like had this woman sending them money and would like just send these photos of him in like a hospital bed.
And they were
And
badly photoshopped photos, and she sent him $850,000 overall because he said he had liver cancer and he couldn't access his money because it was tied
because
up
of
in the
the
Angelina Jolie
divorce.
divorce. And you see these photos, and you feel so bad for the poor woman because I think we're so online, chronically online, when I'm like,
Yeah,
that's bad photo. That's a really bad photo. That's like Photoshop I would make. And
right.
then this poor lady doesn't go online that much. And the way they got her was that like she doesn't check DMs, like she doesn't know how it all works. And she gets a DM from a strange lady, and the lady says that she's Brad. She goes, "Oh, my son needs a woman like you in his life." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Who's your son?" It's like Brad Pitt. And then Brad Pitt DMs her and goes, "Hey, I hear you've been messaging with my mom, and she says you're a really special lady." And then they start a relationship from that. And then even they used like they created a fake account for Shiloh, his daughter, and Shiloh was messaging with this woman. It was like
It's
so dark.
insane and it's not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's just like, oh my God. Like it's been, and also like, how do you have $850,000? Like, where did she get eight hundred and fifty
Well,
thousand
she
dollars
got
from?
it from I think
To
she got it from a divorce settlement. So blood in, blood out. But that's it's what well, it just scares me because I'm just like my dad's old. My dad's gonna go online. I know I already know something crazy is gonna happen one day where my dad's lonely and he's like he gets a message on Facebook that says he's handsome and he's gonna like need it at that moment and he's gonna get completely taken.
check your parents' phone. It used to be where it's like, oh, check your kid's phone, which
No.
you should still do if you have like someone under 18. But check your parents' phone because you
They,
don't know what they are falling for.
Well, they have parental controls for all these apps. We need actual parental controls where we can control our parents' access because, my dad will send me crazy articles where like there's obviously an age for all of us where we just our brains start to be pudding and you just will fall for anything. Somebody will send you an article, you take it as fact, and you see that like that's why like the Karen Huger, like you said, those fake announcements. It's not the fact that somebody put it out there; it's the fact that so many people believed it. Because you're like,
Believed it and spread it
guys, you really think Karen's going to
this
step away
way.
at this moment, at like this time? Like, guys, think about Karen, who she is at her core. Do you really think she's going to just bail out now? Maybe you could like make that argument because of the DUI and whatever's going to happen, but Karen's also somebody that wants to have a story of redemption, and I feel like she would not quit at this point.
Even if she was to quit, it would not be at this time. Like we haven't had the reunion. It was just like with the Bryn thing that just happened with Bryn, and she had to make an announcement a few weeks ago. This was before Dark Roni. That's what I like to call it. This was before Dark Roni, where Bryn, like there was an announcement that Bryn was allegedly like quitting, and I'm just like, this is not real, but I'm going to let you guys figure that out for yourself because
Well, did
I
you see
can't sit here.
there was a new rumor pushed around today that I was seeing it was shown to me a couple times where they said there is another rumor about Bryn that's even worse than what happened on the episode. And they said it's crazy. And somebody said like, oh, is it something that would put her in jail? They're like, no, it's not jail, but it is just morally reprehensible. Now, I don't know if there's any accuracy or truth to that, because literally I could go online right now and say Bryn killed a hobo. I know it. Bryn killed a hobo. I have it on good authority, and it's just morally reprehensible. And you would have to, you'd be like, well, it would get passed around. It would get passed around.
It would, and I would have to like kind of message you and be like, "Hey, have you heard about this hobo thing?"
Yeah,
and you'll be like, "I'm the one who started it. Like, are you okay? You're getting older." I don't even know what I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously, this is the pop culture episode,
is this the main pod or the Patreon?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
Pod.
Okay. Hey guys,
that we're talking about here. I'm gonna let people know that this is when we get into the pop culture, but hopefully you have been listening this whole time, because this is also important. Like, us as podcasters, as friends we've almost known each other for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's 2025. That's fucking crazy, dude.
It is.
Okay, so you literally just went on Sheena's podcast. She announced that she is releasing a book.
Yeah.
It's not called Good as Gold. How surprised were you that it's not called Good as Gold?
I was very surprised, because it's called what, My Good Side, right? It's called,
yes.
I think it's, My Good Side. I was shocked that it was not called Good as Gold, and that was probably, like, I wasn't shocked she had a book, because like, I was like, I knew that would be coming. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. Because whatever your feelings on Sheena, I'm sorry, Sheena's got stories. Sheena's got stories. Sheena's got dirt, even pre-Vanderpump Rules, that I actually am so interested to read her take on. But that did surprise me. And the funny thing is, we'll talk about, like, I've now been on her podcast twice in the last month to do the book announcement. Like, I don't know, like, I can say that now, is that we did a whole episode, just me and her, and I had these stents up my nose. I could barely talk, but I was like, oh, I want to be there for the book announcement, because she said, I'm announcing my book and I want you to be here, because the last time I was on, I said, you got to have a book. And I was like, you got to do this. And she had already been working on it. So she wanted there to kind of surprise me, but she was like, it'll be my book announcement. And I was like, so I dragged myself out of bed. I have these stents in my nose. We had to like stop during the recording because I was like coughing. This was 2 days or like a day before the fires. And so we do this whole podcast episode. And then Tuesday, I think that was Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday, the fires break out. And so she's like, I can't release this. Like, who gives an F that I have a book coming out? It's like, this is not the time. And I was like, but also, by the way, I was like kind of proud of her. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's
because I did not think that Sheena, and that's why I kind of gained some respect for it. Because I'm like, Sheena, you did a self-awareness. Like, I'm so proud of you, because you understood that, like, all these things are going on. So who the fuck is going to give a fuck about your book?
She was very aware, and then so she waited a couple weeks, and then had me and Kiki on I don't even know what week, like last week, I think, and it was the book announcement. And by the way, like, there is like this amount of empathy like you have for Sheena, because you're like, God, she's so damn proud of this, and she's like, oh God, we got to make the announcement because the book company needs me to make the announcement. But you could tell, by the way, it is interesting with Sheena, and I will like. You can just tell like how listen, Sheena is Sheena, but she is the amount of shit she gets, and some of it deservedly, right? Some of it deservedly, but like you can just tell she is like always so defensive. She'll be like, this is the real me, and if you don't want to mess with me, you don't want to fuck with me after this, I get it, but this is my story. Like, she's like, and I'm like, Sheena, this is your podcast. Like, you wrote a book. This is going to survive. Like, how cool is you wrote a book? And it is like funny. The Instagram post got posted, and I accepted the collaboration, or what, I think it was like Friday. And I accepted it, and I was like, oh, cool. And I just went about my day, and I don't check Instagram like I used to. And then I go back to it, and the amount of fucking sorry I keep cursing, guys. It's like about
this is that kind of podcast. Like, we're just,
but the amount of negative comments, like I know we're like, I don't know if it's like the last season of VPR or whatever, like what, but I legitimately would hurt myself. Like I would, I like if I had, I get negative comments here and there, and like but like the amount of negative comments, I was like, this is like some of those things you're just like, oh man, this is dark. Like I don't go on other, like I don't go on Sandoval's page and go like, huh, you fucking where's your galaxy light, asshole? Like I don't, like I talk about it on the show, but like
Right.
I don't like I don't
I
put
don't
it on
bring it
his
to
page.
their doorstep. Like that's why in a separate rant.
But
That's why I don't understand why the fuck these grown men keep blocking me because I've
wait, who
never.
blocked you now?
No, I'm just talking about the Craig thing still.
Oh, Craig
Like
Conover.
it's weird. Like I talk shit on my story. I talk shit on my podcast, but I've never brought it to his actual Instagram page. With Sheena, people bring their thoughts to her Instagram page to let her know. Then they carry on to her TikTok. Then they carry on to wherever it is.
It's so, and like it is weird because obviously I've lost some perspective on her because like I'm friendly with her. So like I will admit that, but like also to that point, even through the fires, like Sheena actually checked on me a couple of times. Like I had actual close friends that didn't even check on me. Like, and not to say like that doesn't, but it is funny. It's like she does actually have this very deep caring side that,
Yeah.
but you also she's Sheena. Like you can also see the Sheena-isms that you've watched on that series for 11 seasons. But it is wild because I'm just like people feel so free to just say mad shit about her, but not even like on a podcast, like literally to her on her pages. Like it's
Yeah.
wild.
I get both sides of it because it's like there's too much going on. So, fuck this book. But it's like if you wouldn't say this to her face, you wouldn't want someone to say this on your Instagram. So why would you, say that to a person? Like if you're gonna shit talk, like go do like I do. Go under someone else's repost and be like, "Oh, fuck this." That's what I do.
Like
Like I go under someone else's repost. Like, who gives a fuck about this?
I always just think if God exists, do those Instagram comments count against people of like, you were so close to getting in here. And then I read a lot of the troll comments, or like even in my case, I listened to some of your pods where you were talking mad shit. And I just got to say, it's a real toss up whether you're here or not. And I think you might bring a bad vibe to heaven. But like, it is that we're so emboldened. But like, I am the same way. So I understand it. But sometimes it will still even shock me.
Yeah, and I'm glad that she's writing a book because you guys forget that this was built around Sheena. And that's why
Yeah.
she's on there from literally, she walks off of Beverly Hills and on to Vanderpump Rules. And even though she pissed me the hell off the last season, and I from what I hear, people do not want her and Lala on the Valley at all.
Yeah.
More specifically, Lala. I understand Lala, like, when they drag Lala, I'm like, yes, please do continue. But you guys forget that we have Vanderpump Rules because of Sheena Shea. Like she's
By the
given
way, and
us
looking back,
so much.
that's why like she opened the show. Obviously, she was the connector scene with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills into Vanderpump Rules because of the relationship with Brandy, with the husband. But that's why I like that last season and the last episode. That monologue, or I'm sure it was Lala's actual thoughts, where she showed up in the talking head and then we saw clips of them in the past. I thought that talking head should be Sheena. Like I thought if that was going, like I know they didn't know that was going to be the final season, but I thought that would have been a nice bookend from here to there. And not that Lala said she said it worked, but I just thought that show started with Sheena, whether people like her or not. It started with her, so I thought it would have been fitting to end with her as well.
The only thing, and that's the only qualm, like I don't really have any beef with Sheena because I'm like over how she acted or whatever. It's Lala that really like kind of keeps going.
What's it's a little Bryn is that they keep doubling and tripling down, and there seems to be no awareness, and they will never. It seems to be there's a lack of self-reflection, or at least publicly there's a lack of self-reflection. And by the way, I will say, if you even notice, like presidentially, that seems to be what works. Never admit you're defeated. Never admit you lied.
Yeah.
Never admit just keep pushing through and just keep believing the lie, and eventually people will believe it with you. And Lala is a perfect example of that. But like, it would be so refreshing to be like, oh, I thought about it over this last year, and I realized specifically why Ariana probably was really thrown.
The only thing that Sheena said that I do not believe at all is that she no longer wants to do Dancing with the Stars and instead wants to do
The
Traitors. And I'm
traitor.
like, Sheena. Because she's like, if at this point, if Dancing with the Stars called me, I wouldn't do it. I want to do
Well,
Traitors
I
instead.
not even
And
said,
I'm
I
like,
don't know
I
if they said it out.
believe
It's
that
like,
you want to
well,
do Traitors,
there's
but
did
there's
call
no
Dancing with the
way.
Stars. There's no way she would be go running. Are you kidding me? But
Like, come on.
she would be funny on the Traitors though. Like she would be funny because I think she would like personalize it. And she would like there would be a lot of crying, a lot of drama. Because Sandoval, whether you like him or dislike him, is bringing like it's not on purpose comedy, but he's very funny on that show.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and I hate to admit that. But I will say
Why do we hate to
Sandoval
it?
did.
Like, why do we hate to admit that? Because it's like we're laughing at him. Like, it's still this. Like,
Well,
you
I
have to
hate to admit
admit.
that because he blocked me, and I never followed him. Like
Wait,
anyone who blocks me,
you said he
he
unblocked you.
he unblocked me, but I just didn't like the fact that he blocked me. Like something pisses me off. Like I want when someone blocks me, I want them to have a reason to block me because I've done crazy things that only a therapist should hear. And I understand why that person blocked me. But when
Yeah.
when it comes to like these stars and it comes to Bravo We're Black in general, I never do anything that I feel like deserves a blocking, especially with someone that I never followed in the first place. But I will say he's funny on the Traitors. It's between the sweating and then I read this interview, which I'm just like, why am I reading the interview that Tom Sandoval was talking? He lost his clothes, and
Yeah.
that's why he had all those clothes on. He was sweating that day. He's like, I had a big flight, and then I came off of it. And then even on like the last episode where the Bambis turn against each other, he's like, Trishelle, I know you don't like me, but
Dude,
Trishelle, I really respect you for that.
Trishelle, dude, I really respect that move that you did. And I'm like, you respect that she literally was wrong about her friend? How do you like that?
And
Doesn't
sent
even make
her
sense,
home.
dude. That's awesome what you did, dude. I know it was tough, dude, but right move. That was the right. It wasn't the right decision. She was completely wrong, and like it was just I think it's like the perfect amount of Tom because every time he's on, he says or does something that is very funny, and he's not even trying. It's just like when he was like when people were getting nailed into the coffin, and he was like looking at it like, oh my god, somebody's like, oh my god, dude, people are dying,
He
and
really
like,
thought like, this
away
is
with you,
happening.
Tom, go away, and he's like, oh, dude.
It's insane. Okay, so I want to know like this is not the Bravo episode, but obviously you live in the world of where Vanderpump Rules was filmed and you're friends with some of the cast and you know a little bit more than like the rest of us. What do you think about Tom and Tom's apparent like drift apart? Do you think that like it's real? Are you gonna buy the sign? Like
Yeah.
what?
Anyway, talk about having a gnarly brand like that. This they're selling the Schwartz and Sandy sign, and be like, I got sent that. So I got texted. I got like,
I'm like,
oh,
you're
I mean,
getting
people
the
were like
sign,
tagging me
right?
and stuff, and I was like, stop tagging me because people they're gonna jack up the price when I go to check about it. They're gonna be like, oh, you really want it? No, I'm already like they're already like they. I think it's like 15,000, and that's
Yeah.
even. I don't know how I would be able to. Yeah, I don't know how I
Rationalize
would
that you spent
rationalize that
that.
at all. Like, could you imagine I get it and then it just went up in the fires? Like, oh god. And what a dark piece of like Bravo history. Like I'm the guy that's like, well, I might buy like a Schwartz and Sandy's menu or like a napkin or
Hmm.
something. That's more my speed. But it
Okay.
would be, by the way, a beautiful sign. And also, I don't believe like the Schwartz and Sandoval thing. Like all of us, like friendships have seasons. Like maybe they are taking some time apart. They both have girlfriends. They're both like they'll come together for like they'll come together for events and like they'll be paid to like travel together to do things. So they're going to have a long relationship. It's probably just not as strong right now as it once was. Did you just see that Schwartz announced that he's starting a podcast?
What is he going to talk about?
It was called like Detox the Retox or something like that. Like
Are you gonna
I
be
think
on it?
you know what? I wasn't invited, but I actually would probably do Tom Schwartz's podcast. I would.
I can see that.
I would be interested. He's like in that middle ground of like between Jackson Sandoval, where I would be interested, or I would just be so curious certain things that he's experienced. And by the way, I think he gets off because he's like weirdly funny. He is good looking. But yeah, it's a boys club.
I think that he just gets in his own way.
Yeah.
Like he's just that kind of person. And I mean, I saw from like from the early seasons what everyone realized like later on, because everyone just swore that Katie was the villain, but ever since he poured that beer on her and like gaslit her, I saw like who he actually was. So I think that I would never like really listen to his podcast on purpose unless it's like someone that I really, really like on there. But I don't really like have any like beef with Schwartz. Sandoval, I've never listened to his podcast. He's never gotten a download from me, like at all.
There's a great Instagram account, Vanderpod Recaps, that I will.
Yes, shout out to Vanderpump Recaps. That's where I find what everyone said.
Well, like, yeah, because I don't listen to Bravo podcasts in general to begin with. Like, that's the thing where it's like I'll listen to audiobooks or music or something like that. But like, I don't like even on TikTok. My Instagram or my TikTok feed isn't Bravo stuff. It's like weird shit. It's like toy collectors or vinyl collectors, or like I have a guy that he eats different food. Like he's just like a normal average like he's like a 65-year-old dude that he's always like, JRQQ, I'm eating some chicken noodle soup and having some crackers. And he only has like, I think he only has 90 followers, but there's something very relaxing about watching this dude eat his food and what he's eating.
And you know what? That's something that, like, if you guys want to be a creator, that's something that I want to tell you guys. It's just like, if you're posting right now and you're not getting that many likes, or you feel like you don't have that many followers, you still got to just like keep at it. Because people ask me a lot, like, how did you even start? How do you have a podcast? How do you have a page with, I don't even have that many followers. Ryan over here has like, you're over 100K now, right?
No, I like 94, I think, or something.
Oh, and that
last 6 will probably take me like 2 more years. Like it's no, I mean honestly, like I don't know how I got to that point, so I definitely don't know how to get to 100, and it's not something that I'm trying for.
But the point that I'm trying to make is I saw this Tyler the Creator video, and he was just like, just keep posting your shit, dude. Like, you never know who's watching. Just like this guy that has like 90 followers that you're obsessed with. You never know who is watching your stuff. You never know when it may blow. You never know like who thinks it's dope. If you want to be a creator, or even if you just want to be someone who just puts stuff out there for yourself, keep doing it. And like Tyler the Creator's interview really just like got to me, because I'm like at a point where it's just like, is there even a point of me continuing this? Or, especially without Aaron as often as, it is, like, it was really about like the friendship for me. But I'm just like, what? I still care about this. And you know what? This is taking me to Bravo. This is taking me to BravoCon,
look at how many,
so many different places,
Humans, we don't look at the reality of the situation. We're always looking like 10 miles down the road. Yeah. And sometimes, or you'll like compare and despair with other people, which I do all the time as well, of like, oh, I'll never be that person, or I'll never be that person. Mm-hmm. The thing I will say to creators, and I say not even podcasting, but just on stupid things like Instagram, is that post the stuff that you find funny, like have it come from you. Don't post what you think people are going to like. That's because you like, and even like I think I'm overall pretty nice in life, but like I do it. Like I'll see posts on Instagram and I'll be like, oh, that's a horrible meat. Like that's shit. Like you're literally looking for likes with that. You're literally, because I'll do that myself sometimes and I know I'm doing it, but you'll see when you're like, oh God, get it. Like stop kissing this person's ass so much. My God, like have a fucking backbone and have some sort of opinion. Even if you're going to regret it down the line, go with that feeling, because that's the only way like people will come to you if they think you are you truly believe what you say. And
Yeah.
you're going to change eventually. You're going to and you're going to you're going to feel really passionately about something and you're going to post. And then you're like, years are going to pass and you're going to soften a little bit. And that's okay
Yeah.
too. Like that's about like being a Bravo fan in particular. You'll love a character for a bunch of seasons and then you'll hate that same character passionately. But then you
Right.
might like them again. Like you never
Yeah.
know.
You never know. And by the way, Tyler the Creator found Rex Orange County when he only had 9 like listens on YouTube. So you just never know who's listening to your stuff. You never know also like who you're helping. Because I'll listen to someone one day and they'll say something on their podcast and I'm like, yeah, I really like fuck with that. And I take that from them and it just helps one person. So like that's why I still do this. Is like even if I can just help one person or entertain one person in these desperate and trying times, I'm going to continue to do that. So okay, I know that you have been covering this extensively. I put it on before I go to sleep with like Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. I know you're tired of talking about it, but for the people who haven't been in like, you know, the most recent coverage, can you kind of summarize what's going on with this case, even though it's got pushed to 2026? And also, I just saw this new theory about Colleen Hoover that I want to ask you about.
Okay.
But
Well, so I did like a 3-part Baldoni Lively thing at the end of 2024. And I thought but it was all about the New York Times article and Blake Lively's complaint. And her complaint was, you know, there was harassment, there was a smear campaign against her. And if you read through the documents, it was really fascinating because I was like, what a peek behind the curtain. And it really kind of like led you to be like, man, this is what there seemed like there was some real shit that Lively was speaking to that seems like she could prove. Now, I then went and got my sinus surgery, life happened, and the Baldoni Lively stuff kept going on. But I was like, I can't do this right now. And so finally, I just started talking about it on today's show. Actually, I came back to it finally, and Baldoni had filed first off, he sued the New York Times, him and Wayfarer Studios, and his lawyer is Brian Friedman, who is also Bethany Frankel's lawyer for the Reality Reckoning. This guy represents a lot of people through the years. A lot of, like, you should look up the cases, but he is a pit bull. He has gone on the attack for Justin Baldoni, started going like, you know, this is completely false. We have evidence of everything, and you're like, oh, okay. So they sued the New York Times first, but then I think it was last week or a week and a half ago, they release a 179-page lawsuit. And if you like 50 Shades of Grey or that style of writing, I highly recommend reading this legal document because this thing sings. It's so dramatic. It's a page turner, and it includes all of these text messages between Baldoni and Lively, these emails. You see this power struggle, or at least this document kind of attests to or theorizes that Lively was really trying to take over control of It Ends With Us, the movie. You know, she was writing scenes. She was like, you know, she took the edit away, and you see this whole different perspective. And it really is very eye-opening. But now it is interesting because it has gotten into such a weird, different place that I think they are trying to win the social media battle. Like, they are trying to really, truly put the final nails in Blake Lively's career's coffin, and they're releasing, you know, they're releasing 9-minute unused clips from It Ends With Us. Yesterday, Justin Baldoni, this voice note got a 6-minute voice note sent to Blake Lively, got leaked
at 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m., he sent it to 2 a.m. to Blake Lively, got leaked. And I play the voice note on the show today and at the end of today's episode. And it's just so, like, you believe that, first off, these are massive egos involved. But it is so wild because the voice note is another thing where you're like, oh, dude, he's like kissing her ass. He's like scared of her. He's like kissing her ass. But also it came off really kind of creepy too. He's like, hey, Blake, what's up? 2 a.m. over here. And I was just thinking about what a good movie we're going to make together. Like, the power you have, Blake. And like, she was name dropping Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds. She was doing like a lot of cringe things, but I was trying to tell the audience is, Yes, these are all cringe and read cringe and cringe right and left, but like, welcome to Hollywood. Like, I used to be an actor, and this is how actors speak to each other. They like kiss each other's ass. Like, dude, you are going to kill that scene. You are the best actor of your generation. It's just part of the creative process, even though it seems like Lively was so insecure at times and obviously probably insecure because she was surrounded by billionaires like her husband and Taylor Swift, where she started believing some of their shine and like, I should be at that level as well. So really did try to kind of assert dominance. But now it is weird because like his team is threatening to start a website with a bunch more like voice memos, footage, which is like the weirdest OnlyFans ever. Or I called it today. It's like the worst bonus features on a DVD ever. Like ends with us was like a story of domestic violence. Colleen Hoover wrote this. Like she gets a movie made based on her book. She didn't think any of this was going to be a success when she started writing. Whether you like her writing or not is irrelevant. She got this shit done. And now you find out too that Colleen Hoover has deactivated her Instagram. Dumois had a rumor that she quit. She fired her whole team and she has stopped writing. She's like, who knows? This is on Dumois, but she says she stopped writing. She is literally, by the way, Colleen Hoover, she's a huge Bravo fan. She followed me. She followed a lot of Bravo accounts, and she'd like imagine you're around the holidays, you think you're like, man, everything's like just great. Everything's looking up. And then all of a sudden.
It finally hit Netflix, by the way. Like, this all happened when it finally hit Netflix because, I mean, it was a success, I think, amongst white people mainly in the movie theater because I definitely didn't, like, I pretty much go and see anything. I did not go and see that. But I saw it at home. It wasn't even a good movie. That's the thing that I hate.
I watched it recovering from the sinus surgery, and I was like, I just don't think this is my cup of tea. Like, it was but it was a hit. It made $350 million.
Yeah, but it made money. So I'm just like, okay, obviously we're not talking about the movie here. We're talking about no one deserves to get trigger warning sexually harassed at work. But then at the same time, we're like looking at all these different elements of it and the timing of everything. And I'm just like, well, what about if, and this is what I came to the conclusion, is that maybe both of these people are just horrible people. Like,
well, see, that's the other thing too, is that like and I will say what's so not frustrating because it's like, I get it, but like even online, people are like, it was like, fuck Justin Baldoni, and now it's switched to fuck Blake Lively. And there is no like acceptance that there is this gray area where like a couple things can be true at once. You also weren't there. Hollywood's a weird place. I think we've actually been seeing that time and time again. Massive egos. There's a chance that multiple things could be at play here. And that's why it's like, we're not going to litigate this on your Instagram reels, even though that's very successful and people are doing
that's what's happening.
We're not going to the bullshit is like the trial's now set for March of 2026. Like we have to wait and when Sandoval happened, man, I was like riding that content wave, but I was like in it. I was like, fuck, I was like so in Sandoval. This is like, guys, I don't want to keep talking about him. Like I don't like, I'll do it, and like I did it today, and it was like so sad. It like blew up, it hit. Like it was like YouTube. It was like our biggest video on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, no, like I don't want to keep talking about these yahoos because it should be litigated in court. Like they're going to litigate it with us, like TikTokers, Instagrammers, and stuff. And I just feel like there is never any room for a delicate conversation in pop culture because we need black, right, wrong. And I feel like the truth lies somewhere in between. And just because somebody is a millionaire or a billionaire doesn't mean they didn't feel a certain way about something. Now, Blake Lively can be potentially a complete asshole, but also what she's alleging is a smear campaign. Can she prove that in court? It doesn't matter if she's like, I would prefer if she's not an asshole, but that has nothing, like you can be an asshole in this country. Like that's, it sucks if that's true, but everybody's just like, she's an asshole. Look at how she's acted in all of these. Like that's beside the point. Like, but let's see, like if she's like doing a, Boy Who Cried Wolf, or if she's doing something like Bryn saying that Uba, like I told Uba this, like, yeah, that's a horrible thing to do. So maybe it does have to go to court to actually be proven.
Yeah, I don't even know where I stand at this point. Like, I just feel like they're both horrible people. I still sway towards Blake Lively only because I feel like he just makes me uncomfortable, just the way that he is. Because if you have a podcast on, I mean, it's cool to be an ally, it's good to be an ally, but if you have to consistently talk about how good you are to women, maybe you kind of aren't that good to women.
Well, he was writing this like I think he got lost in the sauce in terms of his white male feminism, where like you get so into it where it becomes a little cringy, and like you saw him like trying to be the nice guy in everything in this court documents, where sometimes like it did almost sometimes feel like an act because he's like, I've got to be a nice guy. Like, did anybody just try to tell Blake Lively to shut the fuck up and just do the acting work that you were hired to do? Like, it seems like it's just every producer, they were like, okay, we'll try to do it. And then they were like talking shit behind her back. And it's like, did anybody try to just say, that's not your place? You need to act in this film. I've got a specific vision. That's what I hired you to do. But he kind of kept going like, oh, I totally appreciate your vision. He didn't. Like, he obviously didn't. He knew the film was being wrestled away from her. So, like, do that. And then I was like, that voice note, I think it was trying to prove that, like, Blake Lively's bad again, but then it kind of made him like, there were elements of it that were creepy as well, even though people are going to be pissed that I said it. But like, imagine I said this on today's show. Imagine Steven Spielberg or Greta Gerwig leaving that call at 2 a.m. Hey, it's me, Steven. We're working on Jurassic Park. Laura Dern, I just wanted to say we're going to make a kick-ass movie. The dinosaurs are so real, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do in seeing the like. Imagine that. Like, this guy, you're the director of the film, dude. Like, but I understand that she was exerting like this artistic, but artists are weird, man. Like, they need coddled so much. So I don't know, but like, I think it is turning out where Baldoni has a real case. Whether you think he's creepy or not, he does seem to have a real case. And
that's where I'm kind of like,
don't text. And by the way, if you don't text Baldoni or email Baldoni, he'll use it against you. Just that for anybody listening.
Because at the end of the day, I'm also just like, okay, well, this doesn't negate the fact that even though if I have to hear the words cherry picked one more time during this case, I'm going to lose it.
Cherry picked the text message. They didn't do the full context of the text message.
If I have to hear cherry picked again, but even if they did cherry pick, you have these people saying we can bury this person, and like regardless, that is still crazy to me.
Well, that's the funny thing was that
we can bury.
Yes,
like, hello,
these crisis PR people, which were hired to like kind of do these things. I mean, what it turned out, or what they want us to believe, and maybe is true, that said, wow, people are actually just hating Blake Lively on their own. We don't even really have to do anything. The stuff we were hired to do, we don't have to do because it's already taken off like wildfire because people really hate Blake Lively. So they were joking about like how easy their job is. Like, I didn't even plant that story. It's just happening naturally because we have all of these clips of her being an unlikable person. But like I said, it's not illegal to be an unlikable person. But what they are, I don't know. So there's just so many questions, and I just feel like that's what's frustrating about talking about it, because you're not going to figure it out. Like, each time I was doing this, I'm like, we're not going to figure this out today. Like, and they're going to keep doubling down, both sides. Like, I don't feel like any of these people are going to settle because there are huge egos. And so I think Justin, you're going to see a lot more leaks and releases, and Baldoni and Lively and Reynolds, they've tried to do a gag order. Their gag order hearing is like February 3rd of this year.
I want that to happen, but on both sides. I don't want to hear from Blake. I don't want to hear from Justin. I want you guys to actually settle, because this shit is just like annoying at this point.
Yes. I mean, it's annoying, and the fact that like I joked, I was like, Jen Shaw will be out of prison before this goes to trial. Like, Jen Shaw, and there is a point where I'm like, yeah, man, like, you guys, like, there's other things. Like, I had the directors of this 4-part docuseries called The Fall of Diddy on Sean Diddy Combs.
It's on HBO, right?
It's streaming on Max, and it's 4 parts, but each part is so dark. And I had just watched all 4 parts this weekend. And then when you like hear a story like this and hear all of these like firsthand accounts of all of this, even from like Puffy's, like, you know, like him at Howard University, like all of these things that he's gone through, like all of these horrific stories about this dude. And then you go over to Lively Baldoni and you're like, oh God, come on. Like, come on. And I know it's unfair to compare the two, but it's in that same pop culture lens. And I just feel like
this is all anyone is like talking about. It's like,
I mean,
do you want Diddy or do you want
like,
Baldoni?
you know, like I could go out right now and just make my podcast a Baldoni Lively podcast for the next year, and it would probably do better than my actual podcast that I have now.
Listen, you might need to do that. Just
By the way,
a quick coin.
You know what? Can you cut this part out? I think I'm actually going to do that, so I don't want to say that.
Okay, so I know this is like a turn from like the actual case, but a lot of people, and this is some people's theory, is that Baldoni and Lively actually had something going on, like romantically. This went wrong. Ryan got a hold of it, and like kind of she basically had to save her marriage and was like, well, actually, what really happened was this X, Y, and Z. And like when I'm looking at the footage, a lot of people are like, oh, she's completely comfortable with him. She's joking about his nose and all this stuff. But then some other people are like, oh, look how romantic they are. Do you think that there's any like world and like they kind of fell in love with each other and like it just took off from here and Ryan got upset about this? Or
well,
like,
I mean, we always then add these.
Ryan,
no, yeah.
White
By the way, somebody
under
commented.
Attack.
I forgot I posted like an image of the show today, and somebody was like, Ryan's just jealous of this, and I was like, I read it as like this person was talking about me. I was like, what the fuck am I jealous? Like I was already defensive. I was like, what the fuck am I jealous? Like I did that high five. What the fuck am I jealous? And no, we always make these storylines. Like I love it. Then we're like, oh my God, there was like this romance happening. Okay, so there's like, you know, just based on previous set behavior from Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, because I think they've had relationships on sets before. Yeah, you could see that. But I will say also, you know, they're actors. Like I remember I was working at this spa when I first moved to LA, and Anne Hathaway came in once, and I thought in our very brief interaction at the front desk that Anne Hathaway was in love with me. And then I just realized, then I saw her like talk to like the attendant, and it seemed like the same way. I was like, wait, she's in love with him? And it's just like, they make you believe, like that's just kind of that star power where they make you believe that you are like, you know, like we're having a real moment here. I think it's like a little bit of just kind of like, theater kids,
and it is domestic violence, but it's also like a romance, like
it's a romance
too. So
I believe they were in character, and like actors love to talk motivation, and like I'm really gonna go there, and like I'm really gonna like it's gonna show that I really love you, but you'll see in that footage too with like even Baldoni, he's like cut, and then he's like okay, he goes back to director mode. So I don't know. I've been to so many acting classes in my days where you would have kissing scenes in class, or you'd be like, oh, like really go there. I give you permission to really go there. And so it's like this thing that a lot of people don't really understand. So I don't think they were having an actual relationship where, you know, things were like, oh my God, like they hooked up and all this. But I do think maybe, and this is only speculation because I do think maybe that if I listened to that 2 a.m. voicemail, if that was like my girl and I listened to like this dude go, hey Blake, we're going to kill it on set. Like, oh my God. Like he's using sexy voice and stuff. I might be like, this is getting weird. It's getting weird. And you know, Ryan Reynolds probably has this huge ass ego. So I could see that there's jealousy there. I could also just see Ryan Reynolds thinking, this dude's a creep. And I'm watching him. So I don't know. Like people are wanting to really push that story though, that like he was insanely jealous. It was O.J. Simpson levels, and Blake almost got murdered. Like that's what people are trying to. Not that last part, but the other stuff. They really want that to be true. And once again, it could be somewhere in the middle. Like he could be creeped out that like this dude's like leaving these like sexy voicemails and like really like kiss. I don't know. Like it. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so then the other thing that that was the newest theory that I saw on, I think it was TikTok, is that Colleen Hoover was in on this whole thing because there's a clause in the contract that says that she can resell the rights if the person who has the original rights is accused of something like sexual harassment. Do we
Absolutely
think that
not.
Colleen
I,
Hoover
abs-
is that devious?
I would be. I will eat my calf. I will eat my left calf if that happens, and it's a huge calf. Because listen, guys, at this point, you also got to think logically about it. That property, the sequel, is worthless at this point. It is
No one wants to see
worthless.
that shit.
No one would want to see it. You're gonna have to wait 100 years before you even like reboot whatever this movie is. The property to me is worthless at this point. Imagine like them actually going ahead and doing this movie and then that press tour. I'm telling you, the movie is worthless. That is such of little consequence at this point.
I kind of feel bad for her because it's like, oh, finally this movie is getting made, and then like all this shit is happening. It's literally crazy. And I think that she like just her presence on Watch What Happens Live. I see her like as a nice person. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't think that she could be that devious that she would
Well,
resell the rights to be in on it to resell the rights to Blake. And it was just like
I mean,
people are, and then for some reason I'm just like, why the fuck are people talking about when did Candace Owens get good authority in Hollywood to fucking talk about it
Candace
ends
Owens,
with
like, dude,
us?
Like
Why are
literally,
you guys
that is
quoting
Candace Owens. Like,
Candace
like
Owens?
Candace Owens already, she's like pivoting to pop culture. No, listen, the thing we got to
Did,
watch out with Candace is like, because she gets you in with that and then she starts putting the right wing propaganda in your ear. So she'll lure you in with that story of like, hey, I got, and by the way, Candace Owens, such an effective communicator. She really speaks, like she's, but then she gets you in with that and then she just starts saying batshit crazy things, but you're hooked. Like, don't like get your pop culture news from some other people, not Candace Owens. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is our space, Candace. You can talk about Kanye
I
and all
will
that
push
shit.
her
Whatever.
out of this. Like, please do something else. Like, it was you did enough. Like, he's in the White House. You did your job with the political shit, but please don't come and switch over to pop culture. Just like with Meghan McCain. Like, girl,
Oh,
shut the
Megan McCain,
fuck
dude. What?
up.
I mean, what wild. God, I don't know, man. That is if somebody spoke about my dad that way after he died, I don't think you would ever catch me publicly ever saying a kind word about that. I mean, like maybe I wouldn't talk about it, but like the way it is so sad
Weird to see.
to because by the way, I was like somebody that like I respected John McCain. Like I respect like there was like a I'm not Republican leaning, but there were elements of John McCain that I did believe in that I
I
thought
also
like
feel like there was a different kind. Like, Donald Trump is not what I think of when I thought of the Republican Party.
well, because it's
Like,
not
it's
what
just
the
such a,
Republican Party is not MAGA. It's like it's a very
yeah, it's
so
like different.
yeah, they have to acknowledge at some point the Republican Party as they once knew it is not this any. It's completely this is like a steroided
Gone off. Yeah.
version that I don't know how you actually get back to any like that's in the dust and everybody's really fallen in line. So it's going to be a really weird next 2 years, and I will say like it's very scary because they're so damn good at it. And, if you are Democratic leaning or even on that bubble, you got to find ways to make your voices heard without, yeah, like I'm trying to find a way to say this delicately. Like Selena Gomez, like she was bawling yesterday, right? And she was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it was like this beautiful like thing of emotion. And like you've got to keep it in your heart of like, God, this is somebody that is like so emotional, as we all should be about certain things that are happening. But I immediately watched that and I was like, oh fuck,
I know what's going to
they're
happen
gonna dunk
now.
on her so
Yeah.
hard don't give them that opportunity. Like, we can cry with each other, we can cry, but like, and especially when you are a star of that magnitude, I don't want to tell anybody how to like, but like, you be as tough as nails. You be
Yeah.
as like, we are going to organize. This is not happening, not on my watch. Because she also then goes, I wish I could do something, but I can't. Like, don't. Like, don't like that's you don't want to give them those easy layups and those easy wins because Candace Owens, like you even had like senators going like deport
Send her,
Selena
deport
Gomez.
her.
Like
How are
what
you going
the
to pour it?
how did our Congress, including Democrats, turn into like bad WWE? Like, why are you dunking on each other on Twitter? Do your fucking job. Like the what? Sorry, this is like getting off the rails, but like this is, it's very frustrating to watch because it has been so effective, that campaign and the lies, and they are going to like make it. I don't know. Like
It's
it'll
going to be
be.
easy to get caught up in like just this first week we saw how crazy it was. So we have to get used to a lot of crazy things going on. And yes, we need to speak out about it, but we can't be hopeless about it. We
No,
have
listen,
to,
and this is where us as a Bravo audience, like guys, we're used to seeing crazy things week in, week out. Like we
yeah.
got we got this. We like so at least or like fake it till you make it. Like it is really horrifying, and like I was having conversations peppered throughout the day of how horrifying things are, and like what they're cutting, the programs they're cutting, like EBT, like all of these things that were happening today. But that's part of it too, is that the initial like week, he told you his plans. This is part of like
Right.
the shock and awe thing. He wants to really put the fear of God into people. Like, I really mean business. And he does, but like he did say he was going to do these things. Like, this was the actual campaign. But remember, like, and any Democrats out there at this point, I recommend lie through your teeth. Lie like he does. Lie through your teeth. Promise people the moon. Say, but like he's, it's like everything. What is it? The 25th. What is it?
What?
The thing.
Amendment?
No, not
Or
the 20.
what?
The project. The
Oh, Project 2025.
Project 2025. Oh no, I don't know what that is. No, no, no. I don't have nothing. Like he's literally, it's all those. Yes,
Yeah.
he full blown lied. So, whatever it takes to, but the overall message was there like don't let your heart get completely cold. Like we should watch Selena Gomez, even if it's like a select, we should watch that and feel something. We should be like, dude, this is going to rock people's lives. And I was like watching these posts on TikTok and people were like, good. I hope everybody does get kicked out. That makes my heart feel good. And I'm like, how would you ever go online and say this and be proud of it, like and be proud of somebody else's suffering, whether you I don't know, that's the thing that you sometimes see and you're like, have we lost our minds?
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. And then I also like want you guys to do whatever it takes to especially black people, black women, the 92% that voted for Kamala. I want you guys to really just self-care, mind your business, do what makes you feel good, and kind of, in 2 more years, we get back up, do our thing. In 4 years, we get back up, do our thing. But I just want you guys to just do whatever it is that is going to protect and make you safe because you did not do this. So if you're able to help in your own way, but in no way does it inconvenience you
But my
guys.
fear is, how do you inspire people to help a country that is really kind of making one of the, big, a grandstanding moment of, we don't want to help you. Like, we do not want to. So
Yeah.
how do you keep coming back? Like that's the thing that I question. And I wish I was a smarter man to, I always feel like Forrest Gump when I talk about politics, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I love, so I don't know. Like I have so many
People
questions.
are organizing. There are people, black women mainly, but obviously they're inviting people, a lot of people into their spaces. There are people already organizing. There's people that are the doers, and you have to help in a way that you can help. But if you can't and you have to worry about yourself, just make sure you yourself are good before. I think personally, because I am Black and Black people have been here before, been here, we're used to these kind of things. We kind of know how to just put our heads down and just get through it. And we also have people who are already, springing into action, figuring out how we can help, figuring out what we can do to make things better, figuring out how we can, so there are the doers. And then just find out what you're good at. If the only thing that you can do is post on social media, that's okay, because that's how information is getting out these days. People are going more to social media rather than a news publication. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's just how it's happening. So help in the way that you know how to help after you are making sure that you yourself is good.
Yeah. And I also want to throw in too is that is that I also realize the Democrats are highly ineffective at this point. I do want to say, I'm not an idiot. I realize there were many balls dropped, That is very frustrating, that you're like, God, and just the way that they, very ineffective. So I do want to, I'm a realist in a sense. I see how this happened. But like you said, to your point is take care of yourself and do whatever, just one foot in front of the other. And by the way, great pop culture podcast. I'm sure people are thrilled. Great. Yeah. Loving the pop culture talk.
Mind you, we're going to go to the Patreon if you want a little bit of a little bit more light talk. But I just wanted someone who really got in there with the Justin Baldoni case, everything. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think I need a white man to tell me what is going on.
Well, by the way, you got to get him in right before February because it's no whites in February. Yeah.
I need a Ryan, someone who is under attack. Straight white men are very under attack right now. So I needed to hear. I'm just kidding, you guys.
When are my voices? When are white men's voices going to get heard? That's the question that I posed to this podcast. When are we going to mean something in this country? Come on.
And I have to think about that. And we have to leave you with that. But can you tell the people, you're everywhere. You're on. We can catch you on Jeff Lewis. We can catch you on Shenanigans. We can catch you on So Bad It's Good with Brian Bailey. We can catch you on your Patreon. We can catch you on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I did a fun Patreon about Lisa Barlow's lawsuits the other day. And I'm a huge Lisa Barlow fan, but I did, maybe cut this, but I don't know. Anyways, it was,
you can go ahead.
No, because Lisa Barlow is one of my favorite housewives. I rarely agree with her though, but she's one of those people that I genuinely I want her to be on there forever. She fascinates me, but also
she's a damn good housewife.
But it's the more I love it so much that I started I'm what does she do? What is Lux marketing and what is this and what is that? Because I know she is a kind-hearted person. I know she does help people, but what is, but
how is she the Sundance queen also? The Sundance is going on right now.
So, and also, Kerastas, did she reach out to Kerastas and get that deal going? Because I was looking at the commercial and it was kind of shot funky. And I noticed that they used a Utah company to put that together. And I had this theory that Lisa is such a hustler that she probably said that and then reached out to the company herself and then said, bravo, you get involved at this point. Because I was how did she get the Wendy's deal the other year and then Kerastas here? Why don't the other ladies get a little piece of this? And it's always Barlow. And I have this theory that she's such a hustler that she's the one going, I said Kerastas, I'm going to reach out to the company and make this happen and shoot my own commercial and do it on the cheap and make it happen. I have this theory that that's what we see there.
Because there's a difference between a social media ad and we saw a legit commercial that aired on Bravo. It wasn't just a social media collaboration. This shit aired on TV.
It aired, and by the way, it's aired on TV multiple times. But if you look at it, the lighting's a little funky. It's not. It's different than your normal commercial, just in terms of. I don't mean it's bad because it's not, but just the quality, just the video itself, the image.
You can tell it's not the Kerastase production company. You
Yeah.
can tell that it's like local production.
Yes, that's it.
Like,
Local production,
you know,
and then this local production company in Utah tagged Lisa and they're like, "Oh, pleasure to work with you." And then I was like, "Oh," so then I started thinking like, I wonder if Lisa just hustled and like did this all herself, which would not surprise me at all.
yeah. I mean, and then even if you look at the bottom of the screen when it goes off, Xfinity provides Whitney her services. Wendy provides Lisa like her meals or whatever. Like they tell you about their partnerships at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if you guys ever noticed in the
Wait,
credits
what is
in Salt Lake City.
what does Xfinity do for Whitney?
Oh, well, I mean, she's an Xfinity partner apparently because it says services provided by Xfinity for Whitney Rose and Justin Rose. Check it out.
We love Xfinity. It's so fun to watch cable on Xfinity.
Me, I'm a direct TV girl. So I
I'm
can't
a direct
relate.
TV guy. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
DirecTV.
We're
I
direct
genuinely actually
TVs.
use DirecTV. Like I
Me
used
too.
DirecTV before I worked with them, so it was like it's a product that I know in and out.
Yeah, I have the DirecTV app, the DirecTV streaming app. That's what I use. And I cussed out Xfinity recently, so that's all I'll say. But okay, so you have a Lisa Barlow thing
Oh
on
yeah,
your
that's on the
Patreon.
Patreon. But you were saying like, oh, what can you do during these times? The only thing I
Yeah,
know right now was like podcasting. So I've released so
yeah,
many episodes. At this point, you either like me or you don't like me, and that's fine. Like, go check
yeah.
in with whatever you like, whatever you don't. But always like rate this, Bravo, we're black, 5 stars, give a positive review,
Please.
support your local podcaster, like all of that stuff. Like, it's like we all are supporting each other. There's no, I don't know. It's just like, let's just keep being able to keep doing this. Like, just, I don't know. I have nothing to say in terms of promotion. I'm wherever you want me,
Because
I'm there.
we already know you because you're, fourth, fifth year. So we know
Yeah.
how to get to you. And also you've been everywhere. You're on our screens on social media. I'm waiting for you to get to the big screen. I feel like that's coming maybe this year, later on this year.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you'll be on like Extra or E or
Yeah.
something.
That would
Because
be a dream.
yeah, you got this. So you guys make sure you go and listen to Ryan's podcast. I'm going to do a quick episode on Patreon with Ryan, so please subscribe to my Patreon. Ain't nobody about to hire my black ass, so I finally am taking Patreon seriously. So you guys go and subscribe to my Patreon. Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the main
Thank
podcast.
you.
I will be on your show soon, sometime.
I'm sure you'll tell me when that happens. Well, not in February because we're doing DEI over.
Yeah.
No, we're getting rid of it. So no, anytime you want, you're on.
Getting rid of. And I'll be on his podcast in March probably,
Yeah.
and that's probably when he'll be back in March. We're segregating again, but in March we'll come back. I hope you guys understand that this is literally comedy because
I know.
we have to
By the
keep from
way,
crying.
and I want to apologize because I realized I do this. Like I really over talked on this, but I was having a good time, and so don't come at me in the comments. Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.